Ladies and gentlemen, I never imagined that I was going to do this interview because it's very meaningful for me. You know, as an energy healer, I believe spirituality is fundamental to the holistic healing. And today, we have Reverend Michael Beckwith, who has a long curriculum, let's put it that way. You can go to his website,
AgapeLive.com.
Yes. But what I want to highlight, he's the founder and spiritual director of the Agape International Spiritual Center. And what I like and what it caught my attention is not called a church. When you come here, you feel that this is a spiritual center, which is a little different. And he has the vision in 1986, and thanks God it grew and it's an international community right now. This Reverend Michael has been featured in many movies, documentaries, seminars, workshops. I cannot even number them. That's why it's meaningful for me, but especially for the kind of conversation we are going to have now. Welcome, very welcome to the Healing Cancer in the Century, Reverend Michael.
Thank you. It's my joy to be here with you.
When I come to the services in Agape, and I see you, you feel like a healer to me. Because you talk about the healing of the spirit, no matter what is the service, your sermon, you always talk about compassion, you talk about surrender, and you always make the connection of this physical vehicle with Source.
Yes.
And what I see, I have a friend that 4 or 5 years ago, she was very shy, timid, and I lost contact with her for a couple of years. And then a year ago, we connect again, and I see she's a happy woman. She's full of joy, with purpose. Even she changed her career, and I asked her, what happened with you? And she is so beautiful. And I see that that beauty comes from inside, and she said, well, that's what Agape did for me. My question is, what do you do here that change people's life?
Well, as you indicated, Agape is a spiritual center based upon an inner realization of our oneness with life, our oneness with God, our oneness with the Source. And many years ago, I had a great spiritual awakening that allowed me to see that we're surrounded by this universal presence of love, beauty, and intelligence that's everywhere. So over the years, I've had greater and greater awakenings and greater moments of integration with the Source presence. And so the center is based around that awareness. And so there's an activation that takes place when one is at Agape on an energetic soul level, where people get reminded energetically and through the message and through the music and through the hundreds of practitioners that I've trained that hold a high vigil here. People start to reawaken to their own innate beauty, the innate love, the innate joy that's there. They may have been burdened down by the world, the thought forms of the world, the collective beliefs of the world, the worries, the doubts, the fears. But when they come here, for a while, they're able to let that go and to step into who they really are. And then through spiritual practice and dedicated practice and service and study and fellowship, they're able to maintain it. So even when they leave Agape and have to go out into the world, they're able to maintain that with a modicum of spiritual practice. And then their life begins to shift directions from illness to health, from loneliness and isolation to happiness and joy, from poverty to prosperity. For these are powerful, but very, very spiritual qualities that all of us possess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I like that you said is our innate capabilities. It's like they are not outside of us.
Absolutely.
Inside.
Yeah.
And even though this online video summit is about the healing cancer, but it's not just about that. Our bodies needs healing in many different areas. And what I found in my life, as I just told you the story of my son that was healed with a homeopathy, which is an energy information remedy and energy healing, I realized that the deep healing happens at the energetic level or spiritual level.
Yes.
If somebody with a challenging health condition, whether it's cancer or another chronic condition, comes to you, and they are depressed, desperate, maybe angry, what do you tell them?
Well, you're mentioning some thought forms that are very toxic. Anger, depression, worry, doubt, fear. These are toxic thoughts. And a thought is a unit of mental energy that transmutes itself into perception and ultimately experience. And so I work with individuals when they come, and I have practitioners that work with individuals when they come, to begin to identify their chronic, toxic way of thinking, their way of feeling, their way of believing, and begin to change that. So we begin to shift them from worry and doubt, worst case scenarios, to hope, and then ultimately to a dynamic faith, and then to a conviction that life is for them, that they live in a friendly universe, that everything is working together for their good. And as we begin to shift that way of thinking, and they come into the community and get that jolt of dynamic energy, after a while they're able to sustain it. So there's three levels of healing. There's the natural level, natural healing, where you go to a doctor and he mends a bone or gives you a prescription or something like that. Then there's the supernatural. The supernatural is the extension of our senses, like energetic healing, hands-on healing, Reiki, things of that particular nature. That's supernatural. And then there's spiritual. Spiritual healing is where an individual has a direct contact with Source, has a dynamic awareness of their oneness with God, if we want to use that word, and healing begins to happen. So we do both. We have individuals who work on the supernatural level of hands-on, energetic healing, and then we have practitioners who are trained at the spiritual level to see the person perfectly. Now, of course, we live in a toxic environment, and the ground is toxic. Oftentimes the food is toxic. Individuals eat fast foods that have no particular nutritional value. So we also try to lead people to clean up the toxicity in their own homes, not only to eliminate the toxic thought, resentment, animosity, unforgiveness. That's very toxic. Holding a grudge is heavy lifting, you see. So we try to work with individuals to move through a consciousness of forgiveness, of letting go of toxicity, of animosity, of hate, immature competition, comparison. At the same time, we ask them, what are they putting in their bodies? And what's coming out of their mouth? What is their conversation like? You know the statement, it's not just what goes in the mouth that defiles, but what comes out of the mouth. Is there a hate speak? Is there comparison? Is there putting people down? Are you putting yourself down? And so we work with individuals to fall back in love with themselves. Self-love and appreciation becomes a new foundational piece for people. If they can love and appreciate themselves with all of the mistakes they've made and all of the ways they think they've failed, toxicity and the toxic thoughts get transmuted into a higher order of thinking, and they begin to produce tonic thoughts, thoughts that uplift, produce wonderful endorphins that flow through the body, tonic chemicals that amplify the immune system, that allow cells to replicate perfectly, that slow down the aging process. So we slowly move them from toxic thinking and speaking to tonic thinking and speaking, which creates a condition for healing. Anything can be healed. There's nothing, I always say, there's no incurable diseases. There are only incurable people who don't want to trade out their toxic thoughts and perceptions for something that's more tonic, you see.
Well, this is a truly healing from inside out.
Yes.
Now, as an engineer, I believe in practice. I practice meditation since I was 18. And some of our viewers may be thinking, well, how long does it take for me to change?
Yes.
So what if they come here? What is the process that they start learning and changing? Because everything that you said is beautiful. And what amazes me in your organization, you have the capability or the gift to change regular people.
Absolutely. Uh, Everyone comes here, you know, all walks of life, all ages, all colors, shapes, sizes, ethnicities, and we all worship the one presence that's within all of us. And so if an individual begins to come on a regular basis, first of all, they're coming into a field. Everything generates a field. You're an engineer, you know. There's a magnetic field, there's a gravitational force field. Well, there are also thought fields. And so what we've generated here is